Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the Void Playground. We're joined by Mythic at this point, Jumpman, and of course
Whoa.
JD. He's rocking the Super Vibe
What's up?
T-shirt today. Shout out to Super Vibe, great energy bars. Okay, so today, guys, we are going to be talking about Fast and Furious, the franchise, and our thoughts on it. But first, we're going to ask ourselves a very simple question, or I guess I'll ask you guys this question. Jumpman, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
JD, how are you?
Yeah.
Same. I'm feeling pretty good.
JD, I was 9 years old. Actually, I was 8 when the first Fast and Furious movie came out.
When did it come out?
June
Like
22nd,
2001.
2001.
I was 7-ish.
Okay.
I would have been 11.
Okay, so Jumpman, how do you feel about the first Fast and Furious movie?
I like the first one. Yeah, the first one's good. The second one's good.
We're going to talk about the second one. We're talking about the first one right now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the first. Yeah, the first one. Yeah, the first one is good. I mean, it's cheesy. The action is cheesy, but in a different way from how the action is cheesy nowadays in the films.
I yes, that's good. That's good. JD, what are your thoughts on the first movie?
First one is really good. I liked it. I really like cars, and so for me, the racing, yeah, I really liked it. I mean, the first movie is always good.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those movies, street racing, little bit of like hijacking stuff going in there, selling
Mhm.
parts. There's elements of really loyalty, what is how loyal, can a person be? Obviously there's the authority aspect to the film, the kind of macho-iness, but obviously, as we mentioned, the cars, relatively down to earth film, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, pretty good movie. Obviously Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, really good. Yeah. So moving forward, Too Fast, Too Furious. This one doesn't have Vin Diesel in it. Jumpman, how do you feel about Too Fast, Too Furious?
I didn't have a problem with the lack of Vin Diesel. Honestly, I mean, I thought it was still a good movie. Got um got to see what Paul Walker was up to. Um, like is he still in the police force? Is he not?
JD, what are your thoughts on Too Fast, Too Furious?
So as a kid, I just thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I remember just watching as a kid. Yeah, I just enjoy watching it. But now, as an adult, I need to rewatch all of it again to see from an adult's perspective eyes. But as a kid, I loved it.
Oh, I forgot to mention. Let's talk about the budgets for the first one. The first one had a $38 million budget, made $207 million. The second one, I'm gonna talk about the second one real quick. So this is the first one where we see Ludacris's character. We see Tyrese Gibson's character for the first time. Eva Mendes in this one. Really kind of interesting movie. The franchise didn't really know what it wanted to be. You know what I mean? And we're definitely going to see that, when we talk about the third film. This movie had a higher budget. It had a $76 million budget, made $236 million at the box office. So at this point, the franchise wasn't really a behemoth. It was just kind of like, hey, here it is. Those are still pretty decent numbers for 20 plus years ago. Too Fast, Too Furious. I just remember like there's a scene at the end where they drive the car on the boat. So we start to, I don't know, the stunts get progressively crazy. So, yes. Tokyo Drift. Thoughts, Jumpman?
It was an interesting diversion. It wasn't as good as the first two, but it was an interesting diversion, I guess, to see like a different protagonist in this same universe.
JD?
Oh, what do I say about Tokyo Drift? Oh man. I don't know how to describe how I feel about it. I have mixed feelings about it.
So Tokyo Drift, for those of you who don't know, is the third film in the franchise. A lot of people don't. Tokyo Drift kind of gets forgotten. You know what I mean? But this one, it's interesting because, like Jumpman said, you don't have any of the like the main cast. I mean, you do have obviously, is it Sung Kang who plays Han? Right? Like this is his first appearance, I believe, in the franchise.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And what's interesting about this movie is it takes place, I believe, chronologically, after Fast and Furious 6 and before Furious 7.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's really interesting. Vin Diesel appears at the end in a cameo. Yeah, I mean, Tokyo Drift was kind of like that. It was really interesting because, like, I mean, obviously these movies, like the Honda Civic culture and the Midnight Club dub, like the Midnight Club or like Need for Speed culture, that was kind of like, coming out of the early to mid 2000s. So this movie kind of encapsulates that. This movie, I believe, no, it is the only film in the franchise to be completely centered around drifting. I mean, hence the title Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
So, okay, so at this point, the franchise, budgets have progressively gotten bigger. So, Tokyo Drift had the biggest budget up to this point. It had 85 million was the budget, and it only made 159 million at the box office. And Justin Lin, let's talk about Justin Lin for a second. So, Justin Lin really kind of like, this is the first movie he directed, but he kind of became like a big part of the franchise, as we'll kind of see, because he directed 4, 5, 6, and I believe 9. And then, of course, he was involved in the screenwriting process. On 10 and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that later. Okay, so the franchise then kind of makes a comeback with Fast and Furious, aka Fast and Furious 4, coming out at the end of the 2000s, $85 million budget, did $360 million at the box office. Jumpman, how do you feel about Fast and Furious?
Are the fourth movie?
Correct.
Yeah. Man, unfortunately, I didn't rewatch all the films recently, so I don't have. I rewatched the first 2 films recently, and I watched Tokyo Drift, and I wish I would have rewatched all the films. I just didn't have the time.
No, it's okay. So number 4 was interesting.
Refresh my mind.
Yeah, like, okay, so Dom's still on the run, and the crew.
Yeah.
They're doing that.
Is this the one? Because I didn't get a chance to rewatch this either. Is this the one that they did, like, they chasing the 18-wheeler and they went under it? Or was that a different one?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Like, they're all kind of blurring together for me as well.
Well,
that's kind of a problem with this franchise, is like you do have to watch it, like, to get the lore aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to. Actually, I'm going to spoil some stuff. So I believe this is the one where Letty dies, right? Obviously, she comes back, which we'll talk about.
Yes.
Like, people, like, this starts the theme in the franchise of people dying and coming back, or people like. It's kind of interesting, but this one, like, to me, was kind of forgettable. Like, it's not because it was a bad movie. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like this really wasn't, like, in my opinion, up until this point, this is like the worst one in the franchise. I thought this was worse than Tokyo Drift. Not that Tokyo Drift was terrible, but, like, actually Tokyo Drift was pretty good. But, like, this one just didn't do it for me. But I feel like the franchise was kind of starting to get grounded at this point, and or kind of getting its identity. It made $360 million at the box office. All right, so guys, we've reached that juncture we're at the halfway point. 2011, Fast 5. Now, the interesting thing about this one is, as we well know, this one directly leads into the events of the 10th film. So once we get to the 10th film, we're going to talk about this one. So Fast 5, a.k.a. Fast and Furious 5, a.k.a. Fast and Furious Rio Heist. Arguably one of the best in the franchise. You know, we're gonna kind of go over what we think the best ones are, but this one was really good because actually, John, man, what are your thoughts on Fast Five?
It was good. I mean, the action just, at this point, it's just you're expecting zany action. Just what kind of crazy stunts are they going to pull off in this one? That's
JD,
kind of
So it was interesting. It's finally introduced The Rock into this one, and I
okay.
kind of find his character a little bit like fascinating, because like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, of course, you need to have him in the movie. But
Okay.
again, like the stunts were, of course, obviously insane, and then the storyline was great. Yeah, The Rock actually caught me off guard. I really didn't expect him to be in this movie.
Okay, so let's talk about Fast Five in depth here. Okay, so Letty's not in this one. So
Mhm.
Michelle Rodriguez is not in this one. You have an interesting dynamic. So you got, obviously you got, Paul Walker as Brian. He's back. He was in 4, but like him and Vin Diesel, really, the family dynamic, and also just kind of like, okay, so this is the one where like I think the franchise got the rhythm. It's like, okay, crazy premise. They're in Rio. The very infamous, safe heist at the end, right?
Yeah.
This is where the stunts started to get bonkers, right? Like this is where things started to get kind of crazy. And from this point forward, the franchise just tries to top itself with crazy stunts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, I get that it's with the stunts and stuff like that, but like this from 5 moving onward is no longer about racing.
I'll be honest with you though, from really the first one, and even like a really Tokyo Drift and the first movie, I guess Too Fast, Too Furious. But like they're kind. I guess the first 4 they do have like the racing elements in them, but the first one it's the core of the movie, right? Tokyo Drift, it's kind of the core of the movie. But yeah, no, you're right. This is definitely when they get into the more James Bond territory, right?
Yeah.
Excellent movie, one of the best in the franchise. Speaking of one of the best in the franchise, Fast and Furious 6. Jumpman, what are your thoughts?
Yep. That one was good. I'm trying to like I said, I'm trying to remember. I didn't rewatch all the Fast Furious films, unfortunately.
So let me do a refresher.
I kind of skipped 4 and 5 because I was running out of time.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So, Fast and Furious 6. Basically, you have what's his face? He plays Luke Evans.
That was Owen Shaw.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Owen Shaw one. I love Luke Evans as this character. Really good bad guy. He has a really cool car that flips things over. Gal Gadot's back. She was in 5. Forgot to mention her. I think she was also in 4. I could be wrong.
There was like an insane action sequence in the airport, I believe.
Yeah. So this is like there's some crazy stuff. Where there's like a moving plane, and then they're jumping onto it. And this one's really good too. I think like Justin Lin, like they got a formula with 5, and then like 6, it's like, okay, Michelle Rodriguez is back. Dom and the crew, they're doing a bunch of fun stuff. 160 to $260 million budget, made 788 million at the box office. Really, really good. The Justin Lin movies, the 4 Justin Lin movies, I really like them. Overall, dude, Fast and Furious 6, like, good movie, in the franchise. So this is when, like, okay, so things were getting crazy. So I would say like 4, 5, 6, things got crazy. 7, 8, and 9, things get insane. Would you agree with that statement, Jumpman?
Yes.
Okay, so we got James Wan directing number 7, Furious 7. Now, James Wan, everyone knows James Wan because he directed Saw, and he also wrote, did the story for Saw. I think he also directed. He directed Aquaman, and he's going to be directing Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. And so James Wan, this one's a little bit more fresh in everyone's memory. How do you feel, JD, about Furious 7?
So Furious 7 was the last Fast and Furious movie that I've seen. The reason why I watched it was because it was in honor of Paul Walker's passing. So that's the reason why I watched it. And it was towards the end, it was like a bittersweet moment, when they drive away, when Vin Diesel's character and Paul Walker's character drive away separately. So it was kind of like an emotional moment for all of us. Yeah.
The seventh one was.
Oh, we're gonna say, Jump Man?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the seventh one was also originally intended to be the last one in the franchise.
It was supposed to be the last one.
Yeah, it was, but I think it just did so well in the box office. That one did that they just decided to keep going.
So let's talk about Furious 7, aka Fast and Furious 7. Had a $190 to $250 million budget, made $1.5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first movie in the franchise to do over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Furious 7, obviously, tragic death of Paul Walker. Paul Walker was, obviously a really amazing actor. Into the Blue, if you guys haven't seen that one, he's in that one really good. He's in a lot of stuff, that's just, kind of goes under the radar. But he was kind of, I don't know, he was really, in my opinion, really balancing. He was balancing, to Vin Diesel's character. So, obviously, picking up from the events of the sixth movie, Owen Shaw's older brother, Deckard Shaw, which you guys are probably familiar with in the franchise,
Yes.
played by
Jason Statham.
Yeah, Jason Statham. And
Statham,
Jason Statham, like Luke Evans was amazing. Jason Statham is like really, really great. Like this is one of the best villains in the franchise. Really good. This is the one where they jump like the sports car from building to building.
Yeah.
This is they're jumping cars out of planes. Like,
I just like the sequence and stuff. I like the scene in Furious 7 where Vin Diesel is lifting up the $2 million car by himself. Yeah. It's like, isn't it like Paul Walker's like, isn't it heavy? Like, dude, just keep going.
Oh yeah, dude. Like
that was hilarious. I was like, how is he lifting his car up?
Yeah, and then them crashing out of the building, driving out of the building.
Yes.
God.
So fun fact, guys. I mean, this franchise has like in the entertainment industry, it's moved like car stunt work to like another level, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting, like that movies like are seriously look like, okay, these movies are basically like the police story in a way, like Jackie Chan movies, right? Like,
yeah.
But except for cars, like the cars are the heroes in these movies, especially at this point.
I believe 7, 8, and 9 had a stronger focus on cyber terrorism.
Yes, so we're really 8, 9, and really 10, but like 7, yeah, it does because you're dealing with
I guess 7 introduced the goat, goat, was it the Ghost Eye or something? What do you call that?
God's Eye.
God's Eye, that's what it was. Not Ghost Eye. What was it?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
because that introduced God's Eye, and that became a recurring thing in 8 and 9 and 10.
That is very true. So, 7, yeah, the franchise probably should have ended here. It didn't. On one hand, it's sad to see it without Paul Walker. On the other hand, I'm kind of glad they kept going, but it's tough at this. It's really tough. Fourth highest grossing movie at one point of all time. Right now, I think it sits at number 11. Sorry, were you saying, Jump?
Furious 7 just became like the highest grossing film in the franchise, and the movie also provided Wiz Khalifa his best-selling single.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to move on, guys.
The Fate of the Furious.
Little bit of a
This is where
hiatus
I
here.
leave the conversation because I haven't watched any of these.
All right, so let's talk about Fate of the Furious.
Uh-oh.
$250 to $270 million budget, made $1.2 million at the box office. First film in the franchise, other than Tokyo Drift, to not have Paul Walker.
Yes.
Jumpman, how do you feel?
I mean, it's unfortunate that he passed away, but you know, they do a good job in honoring his memory, continuing to honor his memory throughout the films. And Vin Diesel carries the franchise pretty well. I mean, Vin Diesel's a pretty big actor, so. But, yeah.
Okay, so we progressively gotten to this point. Okay, this is nuclear submarines.
Yes.
Bald dudes like hitting each other with like stuff. This is kind of like Jason Statham kind of like joins the team a little bit.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron is the bad guy. Cypher.
Jason Statham like fighting off these baddies while holding on to the baby.
Yes, like
he has a sensitive side. He's a good father figure. I feel like.
I like the Luke Evans cameo in this one.
Oh yes.
Overall, like I was like lukewarm on this movie. No pun intended. But like, this movie was not as good as the seventh one, in my opinion.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah.
And you know, it just, I don't know. It wasn't bad. It wasn't particularly amazing for me. Okay, so now we have the return of Justin Lin in the director's chair for F9.
Yeah. F9, I feel like was better than Fate of the Furious.
I can agree with that. So F9, Dom's long lost brother Jacob joins everybody. You got Charlize Theron back as Cypher. Everybody back. I believe The Rock is not in this one.
I don't think so.
Not.
Yeah,
This is the first one in the franchise since his inception where he has not been in the franchise. So,
John Cena.
John Cena. You know, he kind of is like the other big burly dude. He's the bad guy, kind of like a rogue agent type dude. It's interesting, to be honest. This was an interesting movie, but it's just like introducing his brother this late in the franchise is just too. It was just too much for me. But at this point, like really by the fifth and sixth movies, certainly by the seventh, this franchise knows what it is. Okay, dumb fun, like crazy stunts, like insane plot, like devices, just ridiculous stuff.
And they do something in F9 that I don't think they could ever top.
Oh, what do they do? What were you saying?
In F9, or where they literally launch a car into outer space.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second,
because nothing's gonna top that.
I tried to avoid this, Jumpman, for my whole childhood, and now we're here. So so when Fate of the Furious came out, or actually when there's kind of a joke. Okay, have you guys seen 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street?
Yes.
I've seen 21 Jump Street, yeah.
Okay, at the end of one of those movies, they like do like this pun where there's like 23 Jump Street and 24, 25, 26, 27 Jump Street, and like they like make like little fake trailers for them.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like coming up with plots for like Fast and Furious 9 and things like that. And one of the plots was 9, like they go to, like Dom and the crew go to Germany because like 9 is no in German, but
that's funny.
But like, I don't know, dude. So they launch a car in space. So, like, every franchise goes to space. So you have the Friday the 13th goes to space with Jason X. You have Godzilla versus obviously King Ghidorah, and then Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
You got
Um,
Muppets.
You got muffins in space. So I mean, you.
Muppets, not Muppets.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Muppets in space. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got Muppets in space. You know, and they just wanted to like kind of like, you know, I think it was like the joke was, and you know, the in space thing. So this was a wacky movie, kind of fun.
yeah.
Did pretty good at the box office. Did 729 million at the box office off of a $225 million budget. Fun movie. At this point, you know what you're in for. So this brings us to the latest movie in the franchise. Actually, no, we're not going to talk about
it's
that.
Hobbs
Let's
and
talk
Shaw.
about let's talk about Hobbs and Shaw. Jumpman, what are your thoughts?
It was fun. I enjoyed the movie. I loved the banter between Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson.
I loved this movie. I thought it was hilarious. I thought like bringing like Deckard Shaw's family in was a good idea. Vanessa Kirby, really great. Idris Elba, one of the best villains in the franchise. Like he was really good. I would love to see them bring back his character, dude. He was really great. Yeah, just overall a good movie. Some weird moments in the movie, but definitely a fun movie for the whole family. So this brings us to the sequel to Fast 5, Fast 10. Jumpman, what are your thoughts on Fast 10?
I enjoyed it. I mean,
spoiler free, by the way. Spoiler free.
Yeah,
spoil it for those who haven't seen the movie.
I assumed as much. I enjoyed it. I think I liked F9 more, but that might be just because, like I said, like nothing's gonna top launching a car into space at this point. Like I just don't see what they could do to top that.
Okay.
But this is still really good. It still has that same crazy action.
So this movie, in my opinion, is better than F9, and here's why. Okay, I have one very simple reason.
Oh, okay.
One reason. Okay, one reason. Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Yes.
So Jason Momoa. We've talked about the villains in this franchise. Jason Momoa, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, villain in the franchise thus far.
He is crazy and unhinged.
He's unhinged. He's crazy. It's like the Joker meets Aquaman. It's kind of weird, actually.
You have Aquaman and Captain Marvel in this film.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Brie Larson's in this movie. So a lot of crazy stuff does happen in this movie, Jumpman. Yes, they can't top the in space thing, but this movie is like jam packed with craziness. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's still insane. The acting's still insane, and the story is good so far. I mean, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. This is what we will spoil. I'm going to spoil the beginning for everybody. There's an Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm talking about, Jumpman? Like, there's like a Raiders of the Lost Ark type scene in the beginning where like
yes. I wouldn't say it's like that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, then I mean, I feel like that's the only way to describe it. That's like what, like.
Okay, I see what you.
There is a rolling object, and the heroes have to like. It's crazy. Okay.
I was getting a sense of playing a giant version of pinball.
Yes, and honestly. And we didn't even talk about like all the crazy stunts in this franchise. Like F9, that's the more they have the magnets, right?
Yes.
And then 10, it's like there's just so much crazy crap that happens in this movie that like this sequence that I'm describing where they literally it's like pinball and then Indiana Jones and then like in cars and then like that's the least crazy thing that happens in the movie, actually.
Yeah.
There's another sequence in this movie at the end where I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. Like, you guys just don't care at this point. Like, physics do not apply.
Right.
Nothing's real. I don't know who I am.
F9 kind of did that a little bit with like where the couple of guys are like, have you ever noticed that we go through all this crazy shit and we don't get a scratch? at the end of all. So you never notice that.
Yeah,
It's like, how do we survive that?
it's a little. F9 was definitely more self-aware. I mean, this movie.
Yeah, it started becoming a little self-aware.
This movie, Fast 10, like I said, Jason Momoa alone is worth watching this movie with. I mean, or for
Yeah.
like he was
But-
so funny.
Yeah,
Brie Larson
Yeah.
turns out a pretty good performance. I like Brie
Yeah.
Larson as an actress. I think she's really good.
she was good in this movie.
Yeah, I really like Brie Larson. If you guys, obviously, you guys know Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, but some other good Brie Larson movies are Short Term 12 is really great. She was in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, obviously.
Yes,
Room is really good if you like kind of drama.
there's a lot of Marvel actors in Scott Pilgrim versus the World
That's true. Yeah, Chris Evans
before
is
they
in it too.
became Marvel actors.
I know, that's interesting. Kong Skull Island, she's in Unicorn Store. Brie Larson's just a really great in this movie. She's kind of fun. Who else do we have other than the usual suspects?
I think that's about it.
So Charlize Theron's back. I like that Charlize Theron is like in. I like that they kind of keep their bad guys around. So I don't know.
Yeah. They definitely, this movie, I do feel like, even though it's part one of the whole thing, I feel like it does tie in a lot of the past films together.
Yes, especially
It's like
Fast
you get a
5.
sense this is the conclusion.
Well, okay, so like I would say like if you're going to watch like this movie, you really only need to watch 5 and 9. Would you agree with that?
5 and I don't know. Yeah, 5 and 9 are probably definitely the most important. Maybe even 8, only because of towards the end.
Oh,
that-
sure.
the
Yeah, you're
mid-credit
right.
scene, yeah, it's kind. Yeah, like honestly, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. In all reality, or
So I don't know where this franchise is going to go. This movie had a $340 million budget, by far the biggest and probably one of the most expensive movies ever made. I believe it's number 8. Actually, it's number 8. So
is
there we go.
is Fast 10 being split into 2 parts or 3 parts?
3
'Cause
parts.
I've been hearing 2 parts, and then some sources are telling me 3 parts, and I'm like,
I'm hearing 3 parts.
because that just sounds crazy.
This movie was already kind of bonkers. I'm like, it would have been kind of bloated with the plot. It would have been bloated if they just did it in one movie.
Well, yeah, I understand doing it in 2 parts, but doing it in 3 parts seems overkill. Like,
Well, they got to tie up the Cypher story arcs. They got to tie up every character story arc. So
I guess so.
I
get- But then I'm just kind of wondering, like once they're working on Fast 10 Part 3, are they gonna be like, oh yeah, but we're gonna split, even though we said Part 3 was gonna be the last film, it's actually gonna be the first part of Part 3. So you gotta watch then
Wait.
Fast 10 Part 3, Part 1, Part 3, Part 2, Part 3, Part 3.
this is some Final Fantasy level. Like, this is
Are they
some-
coming out with more?
Yeah. So okay.
That's how they're gonna do this.
Oh
this is how
no!
they're
They
gonna
just
do
need to
this.
stop. They just need to stop.
So
already.
after
We're like-
after Fast 13.
No, it's gonna be called Fast 10 Part 3, Part 2.
they
Yes.
just need to stop it right now. They cut it. Cut it.
Okay,
Stop
so
it.
so this franchise, okay, once they're done with the Dominic Toretto arc, if they do conclude it, I don't think they're gonna let this franchise die. I really don't.
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
The only way they'll let it die if it does terrible at the box office.
No, even then, let me explain why.
Oh God.
It's gonna end with Vin Diesel in his 90s.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Okay,
Just
so-
like Star Trek Picard.
Okay, so let me explain. This franchise is Universal Studios like baby.
Just let it die. It's a grown up by now. It's a adult. It's a full grown adult.
Okay, so they're making Fast 10 2, also known as Fast 11, and then Fast 12.
I've been trying to find sources to confirm that it's being split into 3 parts, not 2.
So I have IMDb Pro, and let me go check that out right now. Okay.
Yeah, because I've always thought it was part only being split into 2 parts until you brought this up to me last week that it was going to be split into 3 parts. And I was looking up, it's like, okay, so I did see it somewhere. It said 3 parts, but some people are still saying 2 parts. It's.
No, it looks like it's going to be 3 parts.
It's 3 parts. That's really the case?
It looks like it's going to be 3 parts.
That's crazy.
I'll say it like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's so many arcs that they have to that they have to like work out. And then like that like post credit scene, Jumpman. Don't spoil it, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I didn't spoil anything, or try not to.
No, you didn't. So they're making an untitled female-led spinoff. I believe Hobbs and Shaw 2 might be in development. I could be wrong.
I don't think Hobbs and Shaw 2 is being in development because I think there's some sort of like disagreement between like Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel, or I don't know. I think there's some sort of drama going on. Like, I think we're lucky to get Dwayne Johnson at all for the final film.
Well, thank you so much, guys. This has been a interesting podcast. Closing thoughts, Jumpman.
Let the franchise die. It should be just 2 parts. I don't know why you're doing 3 parts, but whatever. If it's don't make it any more parts than 3 parts. Well, I'm just gonna say that if it's gonna be 3 parts.
JD, closing thoughts.
Just stop. Just stop with it already. Let it rest. Let's bury it and let's get it done. Let's just no more after 10.
so at this point in the franchise, like, I've accepted what the franchise is. I've accepted it. Okay. I've accepted. I know what I'm getting in for when I watch these movies.
It's a decade-long memorial for Paul Walker.
Yes.
Anyways, guys, need to let it die.
Anyways, guys, you guys have a good one. This is the Void Playground. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Sharing the content if you can. Obviously, we got the void.gg/shop if you guys want to check out some of the merch. And we hope you guys have a really, really great rest of your day, whatever time it is for you. All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
Yep. All right, bye-bye.